Hey everyone, welcome to the Bible Belt Bros podcast. I'm Dusty. I'm fresh off of a camp, church camp, youth camp, so my voice is a little shot today, but Andrew said, no, we cannot postpone.
We cannot.
We must continue.
Yes, keeping Dusty on that straight and narrow.
Yeah.
Dusty, I'm going to actually say your voice sounds better. Maybe you need to do this more.
The little raspy.
Yeah. You sound manlier.
I didn't really do much singing either. You know, it's camp, so we bring a guy in to kind of make it feel different than just a typical Wednesday night. But I played bass and did backgrounds. But everybody was losing their voice. So then it ended up, I did lead a couple songs. So it was just kind of like I led the last morning, I think, just so everybody could say their voice for the nighttime sesh. That's a little longer, a little more drawn out. Right. And then the previous night, I just led the opening song, you know, Fast Dusty Guy. Got to dance on the grave that I once lived in and like ran around the auditorium. We did like a big conga line and stuff like that.
Were you strumming while doing that?
Well, we put bass in the tracks for that song.
Okay.
I just ran around. Yeah.
I was going to say,
but
wireless
bass. Harry, who was leading the
Harry
week,
Styles?
Harry Love.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, Harry Love.
Where do we find this guy?
Harry Love and the Hell Stompers.
Oh, hey.
Yep, they're out of Florida, you know, Christian band.
Oh, you legit brought in a band.
Well, we brought in the lead singer. We couldn't.
Oh, okay. So the Hellstormers didn't come.
Yeah, I was an honorary Hellstormer for a week.
Nice. Okay.
Hell Stomper. Sorry.
Oh, Hell Stomper.
Yeah,
nice.
Check him out. We might have him on the podcast. We'll see if I can get my schedule to link up. So.
Nice.
Anyways.
So last night was kind of big because NFL is back.
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited. You excited?
I am.
How many leagues you in this year?
Well, I know you've already had a draft.
I know. So weird.
I am not in a league. I got the email that says, hey, you can restart your Pick'em league.
Yeah.
So, but we were all at camp, so I was like, well, I'll wait till we're all back so we all have access to our emails to not like be bothering people. Hey, if you want to rejoin this Pick'em.
Yeah, I got my my Yahoo email last week that my other league was renewed, and I haven't told them I'm not rejoining that one yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just tired of it? Tired of winning?
Yeah. Tired of taking second place is all I'm doing. Always a bridesmaid, never the bride.
But, Andrew, we're not going to fall into the trap that we have done in the past.
You're right.
Where we would always talk about football over Jesus, okay? So we are going to just focus on the Lord. Okay?
All right. Yes, you went to camp this week.
Yes, I went to church
youth camp. Yep. So let's talk about youth camp this week.
Okay.
Our church.
Good segue, Andrew.
Yeah, right.
Good segue.
Our church, instead of going to Falls Creek like every other church does in America, there's a reason Falls Creek is the largest. Not just Texas, Arkansas, Missouri, Kansas. They have a massive draw. They're the largest Baptist youth camp in the world. But it's so hard anymore to get into them because the cabins are so expensive. So it's actually cheaper for our youth ministry to rent out an entire other camp and not just a cabin.
Well, not only cheaper, but space-wise, we can do more.
Yes.
And so, like, when we went to Falls Creek, the very last year was, like, 3 years ago. We went to Falls Creek. We had to buy 3 cabins, basically. We had a boys' cabin and a girls' cabin, and then we needed to rent out just the worship area of one that was vacant for the week, just so that we'd have a big enough space to meet. And then you just, you have to follow other camps' rules. You can't, a lot of these youth pastors, man, we like to do our own things. And so we like to go against the grain a little bit, and when they're like, it's lights out, and they're like, the Lord's moving, you just constantly have those back and forth.
Right.
But at a church camp that's bigger than the city that we grew up in, it's kind of, you have to have those rules to function.
What was the theme of this year's camp?
The theme of the camp was best is yet to come.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. We're in like a transition phase. It's Kyle Henderson, the youth pastor currently, but when we kicked this off in January, we're kicking it off with like the announcement of, hey, like Kyle's going to be the lead pastor. So it comes September. So it was kind of funny. He was like, had all these like camp rules, and he's like, don't get your youth pastor fired. I'm like, that's the whole goal.
Right.
You're not going to be here anyway. We'll get you fired.
Yeah.
We'll do some things and get you fired, man. But then I got tired and I just went to bed instead of did late night. But we on the late nights, we have a guy with airsoft guns. like outside the dorms. And so if somebody tries to sneak out, they will physically be shot.
Yes.
And then, because our kids are pretty good kids, and most of them don't try anything like that anyways.
No one gets shot.
No, we just go into the cabins and shoot them.
The leaders do, though. Right?
Yeah, the leaders do. Go into cabins and shoot them, high school boys and stuff.
Yeah. I was actually, of course, I'm asked to do that every year, and I haven't done it yet. I was going to do it this year, but all the nights were already covered. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to double book, and so I just didn't. And I wouldn't get to shoot anybody anyways.
Yeah, most of the time you're sitting out there by yourself. I mean, the final night, everybody's out till 2 a.m. anyway, so there was no like...
Well, then what was the purpose of...
Well, once we send them the cab, like, because leaders are out till 2 a.m. Like, everybody's been, it's the last day.
Shoot, I would have been shooting the leaders.
Yeah, right. Well, our friend Blake and Zach, they both volunteered to get shot just to know what it felt like. So
what?
Yeah,
they already know what it feels like. But okay.
Yeah, they it's one of those things. The Lord was moving. Let's get shot.
So, what was the camp verse?
I don't.
You don't know.
I don't know if there was a camp verse. I don't. What? Where's my T-shirt? There's probably there's always a verse.
Did you get a T-shirt?
Did I get a T-shirt?
Yeah, a camp T-shirt.
I did.
Okay, as long as there was that.
Yeah, there's definitely camp T-shirts. You can't have church camp doesn't exist without a camp shirt.
Well, it doesn't exist without a verse either. All right, what was the song this year? Like the popular song?
So the song hype
song.
Let me back up a little bit, okay, on the song, because there's a lot of things that happened with the music side of worship that was the kind of impactful. So we had 2 songs, before and after. This is my before and after. Oh. I know, whatever. And then another one was that Hail, Hail, Lion of Judah. That one.
Yep.
That one.
Was that the one that hyped everyone this year?
That was definitely a hype song. Before and after is like the testimony of Marin, who is the female. Mm-hmm. She just graduated high school this year, so trying to grow her into being a worship leader, and she led some worship this weekend because she came to this realization, she lost her voice, physically couldn't hit those notes, and instead of maybe there was a little bit of second guessing herself if she should lead, like she's trying not to lead on Sunday because she still doesn't have a voice. I just got the text, but just like being her realization of leading worship isn't singing the song the best way. It is leading people to sing a song.
Right.
The words can penetrate their hearts, right? And lead people to Christ. And so that was kind of like a turning point, I think, for her when it comes to just like that next step of what it means to be a worship leader instead of just a band member.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
And so
essentially take yourself out
before and after is a very personal song to her, and is a great song for camp because it just talks about who you were before Christ and who you are after Christ, and we're going to live in the after, and we're not going to go before is done. We're not going to stay there. We're going to continue on in the after.
Nice.
Her singing that with her voice the way it was, and our kids are amazing in our youth ministry, and feeling that took that role of they're gonna sing it at the top of their lungs, and it's just like very powerful stuff. And so the Hey Hail Lion of Judah, that was one that those are songs, and maybe I'm just getting old, but like before and after in Hail Hail Lion of Judah, just if I was just to do that on a Sunday morning, isn't gonna fly very well. Like before and after, the way that song is sang is hard to just sing along with, right? Especially if you've never heard it before. And then Hail, Hail, Lion of Judah is just like, roar, trouble.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of shouting. And if I sang that on a Sunday morning, everybody would just be staring at me. There would be no feedback,
Unless the youth are
and then youth would be, they would get to it, but it would take a few times, I think, if they didn't know the song. And all of it depends on if they don't previously know the song. And so when I say I'm old, there's a lot of times where people leave on Wednesday and they never listen to those songs again themselves. And so that's a lot of times why bands and worship teams will do a new song like 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Because that's probably the only 3 times they've heard that song. So that they've listened to it. So we just need to make sure I think our kids are a little bit different, and they listen to worship music outside of services, experiences, whatever, encounters. And so, so I think our kids are a little bit different than that, but definitely those songs are what you can sing at camp, have the emotion around it, and then you can bring those songs back on Wednesdays and Sundays, and that emotion kind of comes back It stays with the song as you sing them. So
yeah, that
could have just came and you would know the answers to all these. We wouldn't even have to do a podcast. So.
But what good is that? We need a podcast.
We need content ideas.
Right. So I can't go to everything with you, Dusty. It has to be one-sided. Let's talk about camp is usually a lot of spiritual moments. I heard of some, but what spiritual moments stood out to you the most?
I don't know. Obviously you have the baptisms. Right. You have the rededications.
Yes.
There was a little frustrations with that. I'm going to say it on Wednesday probably. Okay. Because I said it to the leaders and they were like, well, you should just get a mic then. And so, crap. Okay. But maybe I'll bring it on Wednesday. We're the movement. Right. That's the name of the youth ministry. We're in a movement. Right. We're in a movement of God. And the problem I had with that is this movement right now, it seems like we're moving in a circle. Some of you guys made that same decision last week. What's the difference?
Right.
And that was kind of the theme was what's the difference? You got here. Our kids are like day one expecting something to happen. Day one is like already like we don't have like that whole build up to Thursday night Cry Fest. Like Cry Fest was on day one.
Were they crying because they didn't have their phones?
Right. Yeah. No, but they were probably more focused on each other and what's going on. And so Cry Fest is day one basically. And so then you just have that. Okay, like you've been waiting this whole time knowing this moment was going to happen. Well, guess what? Like we'll get into it later, but guess what? This can happen every Wednesday night, and this happened last year. So what's different?
Yeah.
Like some of you guys got baptized last year, and now you're baptized again this year.
Yes.
Are you planning on being baptized next year? Should I go ahead and pencil you in, or are we going to make a change here? All right.
So that's a great segue into a story I heard of one kid getting saved 5 times. And I think baptized 3 times or something like that.
In the last...
No, it was this week.
What?
Maybe not baptized 3 times, but saved 5 times or rededicated 5 times. Well, and so there was one of our funnier friends. I'm not going to name any of the youth's name, but one of our funnier friends,
Besides me. Okay.
He's a youth member. He said, yeah, the more you rededicate, the closer to God you are. And so that was the whole him being 5 times.
Well, I remember touring youth camps to rent out before when I was a youth pastor, and there was one that we went to, and it was like they held like 100 kids. It was a very small camp, but they were like, yeah, it's a non-denominational camp, so they were like, yeah, we have about 100 kids every week. The camp's about 4 days, so we have about 400 salvations, because they with that you can lose your salvation,
right?
Philosophy or theology. So so it's like that just keep rededicating, man. One of these times it'll stick.
That's funny. I feel we are just running a little long, so I'm just going to skip over to. I really wanted to talk about Camp High because it's not just Camp High, it's Mission High, it's Camp High. Anytime you're able to take students and just not students in general, just students, or you see it on a much larger volume. But even when, say, you and I go on a mission trip, you come home, we have that high. And some pastors don't like that terminology. They don't like the verbiage. There is no spiritual high or camp high. I'm a firm believer in it because I see it. Every year we see it. And it does have such a negative connotation. But let's talk about that.
Yeah, so I think Camp High is a real thing. I think that you looked at Moses when he went up on the mountain. The closer he got to Jesus, his face glowed, and it lasted a while and it slowly faded away. I think all of that is kind of symbolic to what we experience at a camp.
And since you bring up Moses, I'm going to bring up Mark 9, where I believe it's Peter, John, and James. They went up the mountain with Jesus, and Jesus was transfigured up there. Mm-hmm. And Peter said, hey, Rabbi, let us stay up here. Yo, Jesus, can we just stay? And Jesus is like, nah. He said, we got to go back down. But Peter wanted to build 3 shelters up there so that they could just stay up on in that high. I mean, we see it in multiple places in the Bible where when you get close to God, you do have this spiritual high, and you want to stay there because it feels great. Why does this happen? I mean, Dusty, I did actually talk to you while you were at camp, and you had a great explanation for this. So can you explain to us why this happens?
Well, you're asking me to remember a conversation.
So it was... You essentially
is it what we're doing at
camp?
Well,
you're taking away distractions.
Okay.
That conversation. Do you remember that?
I do. I think it was something Gatlin said, because the way we structure our camp is, the way camp flows is, we wake everybody up with very loud music and get them out of bed. They go do their quiet time. We have the planned quiet time for everybody. Then we have breakfast. And then there is a 30-minute gap. Then there's morning worship. We break out into our small groups, which is pretty much segregated out to grades, male and female, and then 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade. Like each grade has its own like group together. Then you have lunch, you eat, and then we have a breakout session at 1:30 that if, we have like specific topics, like if you feel like you're called to ministry or want to know what that means, here, this person speaking today. If you're
That's awesome.
Thinking about, we had Sarah with Boulder Coffee talking about like what it means to be a Christian and run a business and how do you like manage those emotions, because, like you want to serve people, but you also need to feed yourself,
you have to make money.
Those kind of things. And I can't remember. I think the last one, was just like worship leading and what it means to actual worship. And that's more than the song, those kind of things. And so we have breakout sessions that like can kind of deep dive, very conversational. These aren't like sit down and listen to me teach. These are like question and answer situations. Then you have dinner. Then you have, hanging out with your friends. You have games. Then we have a night service. And then you have a breakout to your night groups, the same groups during the day. And now you're talking through everything that was talked about that night.
So you're saying breakout. Your small groups?
Small groups.
Okay.
Yeah, small groups. I say breakouts because like we break out into our small groups.
Right. Yeah, that was the camp terminology. But I want to make sure people know what we're talking about.
Then you're like going to bed, so like that's the flow of the day, right? Gatlin, I believe, is the one that brought it up in our group because I think you were going to ask this later, which was how do we keep this going?
Yeah.
And look what we're doing. Like you don't have your phone, so you're not distracted, I think is what you're bringing up. We took everybody's phones away, had them leave them at home. 2, you wake up, the very first thing you're doing is you're meeting with God.
Right.
You're reading your Bible.
Putting
God first. Second thing you're doing is you're hearing some worship songs through the service. You're hearing a little, not just reading, but you're also like listening to a message. The third thing you're doing is you're talking to your friends about it in a group setting. Like, what's this mean to me? What did we learn about God? Like those kind of situations. And then you're just like constantly surrounding yourself with the Lord and not the distractions. And like, so yeah, they're going to go swimming and stuff like that night, but they're going swimming and stuff with the same people that they're having these deeper conversations with. So those conversations kind of like flow through the rest of the day a little bit. And so like you're taking all of those things out. It's like, what happens when we get back? Most likely all those kids slept in this morning.
Right.
Like they're tired.
I will say, what time were you normally waking up?
We were waking everybody up about 7:30.
Yeah, so I went in my daughter's room, I think it was around 7, and she was still asleep, for sure. And when I left at 8, she was definitely still asleep.
So you have that, like, you're waking up, you're talking to God the very first thing, you're kind of like setting your mind right, in a sense.
Yeah.
Then you're speaking to people about it, your accountability people, like we have our men text groups and stuff like that. Like you're having that, like, accountability, and you're having that, like, togetherness as we're growing through the same thing. Like I really think that like the more our church has gone through Matthew and stuff like that, I'm really thinking that like, man, the power of us all doing the same study is just amazing.
I hate that you said that. I did not want you to say it.
I just think that like, because just hear me out, is because when we read the same thing, we can have the conversations with wherever we're at. And then, so here's what when I think about how the church operates, like how awesome if all of our surrounding churches was doing the same verses, the same chapters every day as a daily quiet time. How cool would that be to then, when you work with Mary who goes over to First Baptist, you can still talk to Mary about what you learned about God today, and she can tell you. And then when you go to the grocery store and you see Rob that goes to that non-denom, well, he also read the same chapter today. And so like, oh yeah, so your conversations are, is it synergy? Is that the...
that is, yes. So this is another topic that I actually wanted to talk about. Literally, I was thinking about it on my drive here today. And mine was actually how I hate it. So maybe we need to stay a little longer today and record that podcast. But let's go ahead. I don't want to.
That is a full episode.
It is. So.
But you see what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
100%.
Your day, your morning, your all the way up till noon is filled with spiritual
everything,
eating, spiritual.
You're being
nourishment.
fed. Yeah.
And so that is the first thing you can do to keep that thing moving. And I think that also especially when you take phones away, like their brains can't distract themselves from their thought. Like that phone usually can distract yourself from maybe your thoughts and stuff. And like, I think there's studies where people who spend like long times in isolation, they go crazy because they just can't like process internal thoughts like that. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, so they always kind of just have to have the TV on. You're not watching it, but you need that noise to like keep your brain confused. So you don't talk to yourself.
I will say, I mean, it's all, yes. I walked in my daughter's room last night, and I can't say it's the first time, but it's the first time in recent memory I can remember just seeing her. She's up there doing a study. She had her Bible out, she had her notebook out. She was actually writing in her notebook what she learned. It was amazing to see. I loved it. Very proud parent moment, seeing her doing her walk with God, and of course coming right after camp. But you're right, she did sleep in this morning.
Well,
but
that doesn't mean not bad. It's still the first thing she does when she wakes up. I think
I mean, it doesn't, just because she slept in doesn't mean she's not going to continue that. Just means she's tired because you guys exhausted those students.
So. Well, yeah, especially that last night when you're going to bed at 2 and we're still waking them up at 7.
So on the contrary, I mean, you kind of already touched a couple of the other points, but why does it fade? And I was going to have you answer this, but I'm just going to kind of hit the opposite points of what you said. Fades because you get out of that rhythm. You get home and you get into another rhythm. You get back to sleeping in, watching Netflix rather than, you have more distractions. Your priority isn't going to be picking up your Bible or calling your friend to talk about what you just read. Your priority is now, all right, I'm bored. What am I going to do to fill my time? Because that's, you can't fix a lifelong something you've learned over your entire lifetime in a week or in 4 days in this case, because youth camp is only 4 days long. And so you can't fix that, but we can slowly chip away at that until we do fix that. But we just have to, we get back in our normal ruts, our normal routine, and that's really why it fades. So the next question is, how do we, and again, you already kind of touched on this, but how do we turn this moment into a movement? We are, like you said, our youth group is called The Movement. Turn this moment into a movement.
Well, I think it's bringing those things home. We have a very close-knit group of kids that they can take these conversations into the schools, not just to like tell people how they should live their lives, but like tell each other how they should be to live their lives and be better.
Yeah,
and
hold each other accountable.
And I think that's what in Acts Church, you see that all the time. Like,
absolutely.
Like that's they weren't. I mean, I'm sure that they were preaching, repent. The Lord has come. Jesus is King. What it says is like that they broke bread together. They took care of each other. They made sure nobody had need. They had love for each other. Everybody wanted to be a part of it.
Yes.
And so if they can see how much the church loves the church, then church being the people, then that's going to draw that, because that's what everybody's looking for out there. Like that's what they're going for when it comes to drugs or alcohol. That's what they're going to when they come to all these other things. They're just looking for that same thing that we are supposed to be providing each other.
Right. Inclusion, essentially.
Community.
Yeah.
Think of Moses coming down. It wasn't like he fell into sin or was like doing it. Like daily life is dark sometimes.
Well, yes. Absolutely.
So like you were saying this, I don't think we're actually going to cover it anymore. You were saying this earlier when we were making the coffee, that, like there's the camp highs. It takes longer to go up the mountain than down the mountain than what you spend in the mountain. And so like life is really done in the valleys. And so in the valleys, it gets dark, it gets hard, and you lose your focus a little bit. And then when you get to those camp high moments, that you're able to like get recharged, like when we hike up to a hidden lake,
oh yeah, those look great.
When we, like, I say this all the time, when we pass the people that did the tourist hike,
the 1 mile, 2 mile hike,
1 mile, 2 miles, they see a cool waterfall and we're like, yeah, but you don't know, like 6 more miles up this road or 4 more miles up this this little path, trail, rocks, I don't know,
climb, that
there's a hidden lake that like 0.1 or 0.001 according to like ChatGPT will see in their lifetime. You can do that hike, and it's going to suck all the way up there. When you're coming down, you're like very confident, like oh man, that was some hike, and you have people going, how much farther up there? And I'm like, it's worth it. That's all you say. Keep going, man. It's worth it. But going up is the struggle. It is like how much farther. Some of those hikes, they're maintained, but they don't have like a lot of mile markers. So if you don't have a watch, then you really don't know like how far you've gone.
So they're maintained, but they're not cut out for you necessarily. They're not.
Yeah, they're made by like the one that we went to the last time, the Deer Lake. It was a lot of rock. It's not going to get overgrown, I guess.
Right.
If
you don't hike like that first mile or two, you have this nice wide path that's really beautiful. Mm-hmm. Some of it's landscaped and the rocks are placed along. But then once you get past kind of what Dusty was saying, the touristy part, it's just maybe wide enough for one person.
Right.
And because you're just walking one by one by one. And so that's really all it is. It's not necessarily,
you don't have a nice little cart path made for you.
Yeah,
like there's one that Shay and I went on, and it was 12 miles and it was brutal. Like there was a windstorm that came down like a few days before we got there. And we had to hop over fallen trees. Trees that we either had to hop over or go under, it was muddy because it was still wet because you have all this, like it rained like a day before, but it's still like there's so many trees that there's shade. Then getting all the way up there, all the switchbacks of death, that you have to go up there. Me, like looking at the mountains, walking the dog, and accidentally taking a step, and it's like a steep drop down, and I missed the step, and Shay thought I was gonna bite it.
Be a goner.
Yeah.
Did you let go of Darcy?
I did let go of Darcy, and she ran away. She didn't. She didn't try to help me at all.
Smart
I was
girl.
like dangling one leg down
Smart
there.
girl.
So, but like all of that stuff to get to that moment is worth it. But it's not worth it in the moment.
Right.
It's only worth it when you get to the top and you can look back. And when you're walking back, you're like,
because hindsight,
this was pretty sick.
So I wasn't necessarily going.
But if I stayed on that one mountain, I would have never saw the next one.
Right.
I would have never saw the next one. I would never went to Yellowstone. I would never went to Washington. I would never went to Banff. I would have never went to Glacier. Like just
get
imagine.
It. You hike, Dusty.
I'm trying to name drop Mount Zion. Okay, I'm trying to name drop all of these.
So, you're right. I wasn't going to necessarily hit that topic, and I'm kind of glad you did. Because, again, going back to Mark 9, another part I left off on there is Peter, he wanted to build 3 shelters and stay up on that mountain, and Jesus said no, and then led them back down into the valley, back down off the mountain, right back into a demon-possessed child, and the rest of the struggles that were going on. So that's where the ministry happens. You get fed, you get you grow spiritually, you get woken up, and then you go right back down. And like you said, when you're coming down, you have this confidence, you have a pep in your step. And so when you get down into that valley, yes, that's where your ministry is going to happen, where you're going to get dirty and actually work. But you can't stay in that valley because there is another mountain.
I just saw the title that you wanted to name this message. Getting High with Students.
Yes.
Okay.
So I actually had another name for it where it's Dusty Gets High with Students.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's a squirrel, but I just could not hold that in. All right, let's end here, Andrew. I know that this meant a lot to you, so let's end on this point. What can parents do to help post camp? Because it's not the church's job responsibility to like raise your kids. We definitely have opportunities because they listen to us more probably in situations than they listen to their parents, and we can get them like teed up to hear and to be ready for change. But what can the parents do to like help, guide their kids and draw them closer to the Lord, and then as well as just like keep that camp high?
So yes, as a parent of one of the students that went, this is a much deeper question for me. Something that as I was sitting down storyboarding or writing out these topics, I was really thinking about how can I help my daughter continue this, because I don't want her flame to go out. And so it is really, we spend, the youth may get 2-3 hours of my daughter's attention a week, where I have all the other hours. What I realize I need to do, and parents take this with a grain of salt, maybe you're at a different level level with your child, but I need to ask deeper questions. Ask my daughter, what did God speak to you? What can I do to support you? Sorry, what can I do to support you here at home? And ask her, or maybe do they want to do a Bible study with you? Is there something specific you need me to pray about? Something literally while I was standing here with you, Dusty, I was like, one thing I can do, because school's about to start up in a couple weeks.
Yep.
One thing I can do is pray over her before she leaves for school each morning. And really, if I show me putting God first in my life, that will help her put God first in her life. And if I pray over her as she's walking out the door, that'll also encourage her to pray over her friends at school.
Yeah.
And so parents, we need to be the shining light and the shining example for our students, for our children, to show them what they need to be doing out in the world. But also learn from your child. Like walking in my daughter's room last night, seeing her doing her study, and I kind of know she was hidden away. But so our pastor, this is something that's always stood out to me. Our pastor, he always makes sure he does his study out in the open so that his children can see him.
My dad did the same thing.
I don't do that. I mean, shoot, we all know I do mine first thing in the morning on the toilet. I definitely
don't leave the door open.
Right. I don't leave the door open, but I don't do that. So, and now I say that. I tried doing that the other day, and my gut did not like that.
You tried to leave the door open?
No, I tried to do my study before going into the bathroom. My gut did not like that.
We'll do it after.
But then you're not putting God first. That's kind of my thought. That's my brain. That's where I go is I got to put God first. And if I'm going to the bathroom first, then I'm not putting God first.
What if you started putting God first by listening to something in the bathroom, like a worship song, getting your mind right to read the word?
So start a Bible study with your child. And I'm going to pitch this to my daughter now. I know she's in that phase where, it's not cool to hang out with your parents. Maybe in secret, though, she'll hang out with me and do a Bible study. So, but just do stuff to encourage your child to continue what they learned in that moment at camp. Do stuff at home with them
even if you don't do the same study, like knowing what they're doing, that you can just say, hey, what did you learn about God in your study today?
Yeah, that's great.
Just an easy dinner time conversation, like, what did God show you today? Like, it's just something simple. You don't have to I think sometimes as Christians, we sometimes over spiritualize everything and try to make it like, and I kind of felt like this at camp, and I don't know why. I'm not a super emotional person, but
you're getting older, you're getting more emotional.
But at the same time, I don't know. I just there's some times where we everything has to be so serious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like when you read this is not, I don't know. I'm just going to say it. We'll say it. Jesus preaching, people aren't you don't have 5 minutes of people. You don't hear about 5 minutes of people crying their eyes out before they make there's just that revelation that happens,
right.
When you read the Bible to yourself and you're having a quiet time and God's showing you stuff, you don't all of a sudden start bawling all the time. Sometimes I think we get addicted to the emotional side of things as Christians, and that's one reason a camp high and camp is so powerful is there's that emotional side of camp, and that can become more addicting than allowing God to guide you.
Yeah.
And
I see that 100%.
So I see that I don't know. And that's probably there's probably a thing wrong with me that feels like this every time I see people over crying or over having some physical reaction, shaking their bodies and their stuff. I see that and I'm you're just trying to conjure up something that exists.
Yeah, you're putting on a show.
I don't think they're putting on a show for people. I think they're trying to tap into some emotional reaction that they should be having. But you know what I mean? The word just penetrates your heart. It doesn't have to every single time. And that's what I feel like it's every single time. It feels like in these situations, it's always a cry fest, a ball fest. And I get that. It needs to happen. You need to let it out, but it's every time. What I'm saying for you is don't try to over spiritual it to make it how there was house churches you went to and it's this is so hard to go to because it's always so extra spiritual. And then there's house churches you go to and it's this is just doing life together. This isn't this whole thing, But that's also an introvert side of me. So I understand this, and I understand that every time our church does this pray with other people thing on a Sunday morning, I'm whatever. And when it's those deep prayer times, they need to happen. I get I'm not saying those are all stupid and we shouldn't do them at all, but sometimes I think we get addicted to making sure everything is that way. Let's see what people say about that.
All right, so
I'm just being honest, guys. Don't kill the message. Don't.
Wait, kill the You're not just the messenger. You are.
Yeah, I'm the person
coming up with the message.
All right, don't kill the message maker.
Closing thoughts, students. This is a launching pad, not a destination. So continue launching. Continue what you're doing. Don't get sidetracked. Stay on the straight and narrow. Stay on that path that you launched towards. So.
Yep. Parents, be better. And the movement is not a circle. It is a movement. We're going somewhere else. We're going to a different destination. We're going to the next destination in our journey.
Yep.
So
we're not getting baptized again next year.
Yeah, you should be baptizing somebody else next year.
Absolutely.
That is the movement. I actually thought that was pretty good. I'm pretty proud of myself for that one. Anyways, thanks for listening to the Bible Bell Bros podcast. Promoting our social. I'm just listening. Everything Andrew said. Promote socials. We have a Facebook and an Instagram. You should go there.
And a YouTube.
And the YouTube is just the same thing that you're listening to right now. So if you're already listening to this, then
you know.
You already know. There's no...
But you don't know. Go ahead and follow that YouTube. If you're not listening, follow the YouTube because we might do videos in the future.
Yeah, just go to BibleBeltBros.com and you can find all the links.
Oh, there you go. That makes a lot more sense.
That's the whole reason of doing it. It's not a pretty website. I just wanted to get it finished, but it exists. And so follow us there. And let us know, like, how do you handle your camp highs and lows, and how you can be a better parent. Some ideas to maybe help Andrew put God first, but not have to do it.
Spiritualize it.
Not have to do it on a toilet was what I was going to say.
Gotcha.
But also, just like how can we put God first and grow, become this thing where it's not awkward to have spiritual conversations with your kids. So, all right, we'll see you next time.
Take it easy.